As silly as it sounds, feeling your feelings really is a superpower. That's the beauty of the reboot system, is it's not just about addictions recovery. It's about building a better life for yourself. Your addiction doesn't define you. There are men who will confine in you with love and no judgment. There is help. Go for it. It's 110% worth it.
What is going on, Reboot fam? Chris coming at you once again with a brother in the struggle, coming to us from our exclusive Reboot Implementation Program. I freaking love this guy, and I know you guys will too. I'm excited to have you guys get to know him a little bit, and I'm more than sure that there's something from his journey that you could instantly apply to yours and maybe find some motivation and hope along the way. But with that very subtle intro, I'm here with Adam. How you doing today, sir?
Doing great, man. Having an awesome day. Life's been really good lately, and thank you for having me on and introducing me. This is an awesome opportunity.
Sick, man. Like I said, dude, literally before we started recording, I'm so glad that I got the time just to pick your brain about your experience in the group so far. But really, before we go into any of what's going on now, I kind of want to start with what was going on then. How did you first start the program? How did you discover it?
Yeah, so I discovered the program back in around 2021 is when I found Elevated Recovery with JK. And at the time it's about 4 years ago. So I was 24, and I had actually spoken to my psychotherapist, long-term psychotherapist, who I'd been with for about 8 years now. And, we were discussing kind of my dating life and my social life. I mean, mainly my relationship with women. And she had kind of asked me some personal questions about if I engaged in watching pornography or if I, was excessively masturbating, so on and so forth. And I kind of realized at that point, yeah, maybe this is a problem. And at the time, I recognized this could actually be a problem. And then she actually introduced me to Elevated Recovery itself and JK Amazy and suggested I take a look. So yeah, at that point, I was definitely in quite a low. I had gotten used to the lifestyle of kind of my sexuality and sexual behavior being PMO and the whole shebang. And I didn't fully accept or know that I had a problem. But then eventually I joined the free Facebook group. I found an accountability partner and essentially trial rebooted for 4 years until I joined the implementation group. So that's kind of my brief history. But, it was definitely a wake up call right now. And I would love to go into more detail of that as we speak. But that's my basic history.
Yeah, no, we totally will. But I'm
Yeah.
more than sure that tale is fairly common, And let me ask you this. I mean, what was the moment like right before you decided to commit to joining the implementation program? It was kind of like you had that realization, this might be kind of a problem. What was the thing that kind of pushed you over the edge, if you will?
Yes, there's two things that come to my mind. The first was that in July 2024, so close to a year ago or so, I was at my buddy's wedding and I was his best man. And I had a best man speech on stage, which I feel like I crushed, but it went really well. And I got off stage, but then I had this real deep feeling in my chest, deep feeling that if I don't get my sexual behavior and choices addressed, I'm never going to get married. And or I'm never going to find a long-term partner, whether that's in marriage or not. And it was a real deep, dark feeling I felt. And that was kind of the first, pick me up, really waking me up again to my behavior between the period of when I found the program initially 4 years ago till now. There's kind of this, on and off phase. But that was the first pick me up moment. And then I actually had gone back to my psychotherapist in early February. Yeah, late January, earlier February this year. And we were just talking and catching up. I don't think I had seen her for about a year, so it had been a little while. And again, she brought up the question of how is your pornography usage? How is your dating life? How's your social life? All this and that. And then it clicked. I was like, oh, it's still really not great. And I'm really not doing well. And she said, yeah, you're 28 and there's this gap kind of in your life and kind of now or never to turn things around. And I realized, yeah, like this is serious. And I've shared this before in the group, but I kind of developed this persona of career success and achievement masking me for my problems, right? I had money, success, this flashy career, and I thought that was going to bring me women and fix my problems, but it just didn't. And then I just left, I got in my car, and immediately when I got in my car from that appointment, I messaged Gaspar. I immediately messaged him. And he actually had reached out to me in 2023, and I just messaged him back. I said, hey, man, can I get on a call with the strategist? And then I think within 2 days, 2 days or less, I was on a call with GT.
And here you are.
Here I am. Yeah.
I mean, lots to dive into. Holy smokes. I mean, first of all, the thing that, certainly sticks out to me, because it's definitely an aspect or at least a narrative that I can relate to. And I'm more than sure that so many guys can. That idea or that notion that, like, if you get your money right, if you get the career, if you get the car, if you get the body, if
Mhm.
you get this and then that, you're going to attract women, you're going to, have the life that you want and all your dreams will come true. Now, is it bad to yearn for a healthy body or a good job or a flashy car? Not necessarily, of course. But when it's coming from a place of scarcity, when it's
Mm.
as opposed to abundance, where it's like, I need this thing in order to XYZ, you know, rather than like, I have this career, it's an extension of me. It doesn't ultimately define me. It's just like an orange
Yes.
on the tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I can still relate to that. I mean, I can relate to that, and it's still like something that I need to keep in mind in my own reboot, just being transparent. I
Mm.
don't know who needs to hear this, but you are not your job.
Bang on. Bang on.
But with that said, so here you are, like we said, and man, oh man, I mean, sincerely, I alluded to it earlier, but you've truly been bringing the word implementation in the implementation program and just making it pop, and just really bringing it to life. So I'm curious.
Thank
Let's
you, man.
start with the tools. Absolutely. Let's start with the tools that you've learned so far. I mean, what tools have you been implementing in your reboot journey so far?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say my favorite tool for pure implementation in the moment of urges and controlling my behavior is it's dialoguing. It's dialoguing. I love it. Speaking of my addict, and specifically when I learned that my addict is simply a sub-persona of a story of my past life. And it was a story just speaking to me to repeat this behavior to comfort me as a teenager. Once I recognized, okay, this is just a narrative that's playing in my head, I can speak with that narrative and separate it from my essence, my true self.
Right.
And dialoguing has been my definitely my favorite one in the moments. I would say that overall, I don't know if we classify it as a tool, but the reboot definition has been very important to me. It's
Yeah, talk
been,
about that. Talk about that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I read my reboot definition. It's taped on my wall, but I read it probably once a week or so, and just make sure I'm aligning my choices and my goals with who I want to be. Because I do truly believe that rebooting, like we say, it's not running away from who you were, but going towards who you want to become. And that's what rebooting's all about. And as long as that's always in my framework, the rewiring process is kind of the background, you know, tuning that's going to happen with time. But yeah, the reboot definition's been very important to me. Whenever I talk to my accountability partners, I always, whenever we're conversing and working through whatever our struggles are, I always like to use the phrase of who is the man we're trying to become? Who
Mhm.
are we becoming as a person?
Right.
And as much as there are struggles sometimes, we all have it, we all go through it. Ultimately, the reboot definition is it's 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 a vision. It's a vision, and it's a dream that can come true. It's a dream that can come true. And it's a very important tool to me in the bigger picture of my reboot.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much that you just said that is just so beautiful and so poignant. But can you do me a favor, just from your
Mm.
experience, can you give like a 30-second breakdown for someone who might not have experienced this kind of approach because I can speak for myself trying to do the whole, no fap, semen retention type of thing. Not a diss to anybody who's doing that currently, but if there ever were a slip or if I ever were to act out, I would just kind of go back to day one in a way, and just beat the what out of myself just to, feel like I'm learning a lesson. But can you kind of briefly go into what exactly a reboot definition is and, how the approach is a little different as opposed to that?
Yeah. So the reboot definition, it's a culmination of wins. And with porn reboot and elevated recovery, like this part of the system is counting wins and not days. And I just see slips as, if they happen within a week of each other, or if they happen within 2 months, 2 months of each other, there's not a big difference as long as you're working towards your goals and becoming the man you want to become. And a big part of the reboot definition, and with controlling our behavior, is transforming our sexual identity and sort of uh, how we see ourselves as a sexual being. And as long as we're working towards that, taking actionable steps, setting goals, using our reboot planner, and having measurable results, that's what matters. Because, like, I feel like it's a little different with a behavioral process addiction. It's kind of a gray area sometimes, and the slips ultimately, they matter and they're important, and it's important to analyze them as well, see where they're coming from in terms of your self-care, your emotionality, boundaries, maybe isolation and various factors that could lead you into a poor headspace. But that's the interesting part about this addiction, is it's really about changing your habits, which form a lifestyle, which ultimately create a new self-image. And it's so cool because not only are we like fixing an addiction, but we're like transforming our self-esteem
Yeah.
and transforming who we are as a person. And I think that's really the root of all addiction, is who you think you are, versus who you want to be.
Round of applause for Adam, everybody. Straight up, man. I love it. I love it. And honestly, it's sort of like a nice segue into like kind of what we had touched upon before, like a very communal approach. It's like, yeah, we're all here to reboot our own mind and, improve our own situation, but nobody reboots alone. So in that spirit, I want to hear about your experience in the Facebook group. How's that been going?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to post frequently, share my journey, and to witness uh, other brothers' growths and their achievements so far. And I've been pretty engaged in a couple of the challenges, which has been fun. It's been a competitive thing, and I've
One
enjoyed
of few, by the
little.
way.
Yeah, go for two. I go for three bases, and then who knows? Who knows? The trifecta.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. They're a lot of work sometimes, so we'll see. Um, but yeah, man, it's been a really good experience, and I've had a lot of fun in the Facebook group, and not only sharing my journey, but also listening to other brothers' stories and really taking in their words and reading what they're sharing. I found a lot of insight in not only my journey, but recognizing what other brothers are going through and their specific struggles, and kind of thinking, like, okay, based on what I learned, what I know in my journey so far, what question can I ask, or what sort of help can I maybe, prompt in this situation? How can I, just maybe ask a question that, sometimes when brothers are in flustered states during a slip, it's a little difficult to see through. So I've found a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment in both sharing my journey as well as engaging with the group. And sometimes just making a silly comment to keep things light has been great as well. And the Facebook group is brilliant. Like, where else are you gonna have potential accessibility to 160 accountability partners or people that care, right?
Yeah.
People alone that just care. It's one thing to have one or two APs, another thing to have 160 people that could potentially provide you insight.
I couldn't have said it better. I love that. It's a community of guys that get it. Like
Yeah.
actually get it. Beyond just having a history with, a compulsive behavior, but a community of guys that have actually put skin in the game and are trying to do something about it, you know.
Mm,
And on top of that, it's a community of guys that know what it's like to be a high performing individual, maybe guys with that, luxurious job and maybe behind closed doors, aren't practicing what they preach and trying to live not just a healthier life, but just a more integrity filled life.
mm,
To have like the life with an open door to the same as one closed, right? So
yeah,
that's the kind of man you're gonna find in this program, and you're one of them. So I love it.
thank you.
And speaking of, sort of like the value as far as, what's available in the program and stuff, I know for me, somebody like Milan, for example, one of our coaches, he is just brilliant in being able to take a situation and help a brother kind of compartmentalize and break things down and help develop like a hierarchy of priorities, So I'm curious, what's your experience been like with the coaching calls?
Yeah, they're all fantastic in their own ways. I think they all have their specific value, and I think each brother, including myself, can find it may be a little bit more value in each different call based on what they're going through in their current season of life. But they're all awesome. I mean, they all work so harmoniously well together. I mean, Dr. Eastman has taught me how to essentially feel my feelings and how to communicate my feelings, which is just beyond addicts ourselves. I think that's a skill that is really not taught beyond early elementary school. When I was a young kid, I was told to say sorry and to say how I feel by a teacher. But then the time you hit middle school, teenagers just won't listen. And then it kind of just stops after that in life. And we kind of forget what it means to feel your feelings and process them and digest them before making a decision. So Dr. Eastman and Orestes, Reboot Hero 1, they've taught me how to feel and let go of what's going on. Huge in my reboots. It's a superpower, man. A superpower. As silly as it sounds, feeling your feelings really is a superpower. Milan as well. I mean, excellent call. He'll take any limiting belief you have and break it down piece by piece and show you, okay, let's start here. What's up with this? Why is this a block? Why is this a block? Why is this a block? And how can we start to reframe this in a way that's self-empowered and essentially something we can overcome. Dr. Rankin, epic call. He's just it's I think the grandfather we all wanted.
Yes, all the way, yes.
Yeah, he's the older guy that knows pretty much everything and what to say and when to say it, how to say it, and his wisdom is incomprehensible. It's incredible, and I think it's just a great life coach. You can mention anything to him and he has a plethora of experience and he'll give you a high level summary and really take you back and have you look at the bigger picture of life. What's really important to you. Like a lot of times he shares that on your deathbed, are you going to wish you worked more or are you going to wish your relationships were a little bit stronger? Did you spend more time with your kids or did you make that extra $10,000? I'm not saying to not hustle and go for it. I'm just saying like, sometimes taking a step back in life can be important at times. Yeah. And then of course, one of my very favorites, Sunday, breaking the cycle with yours
Woo.
truly. Yeah. Super good call. I mean, to be honest, that book, Breaking the Cycle, that was kind of the turning point in my when I recognized what the story of the book was really telling me. I was like, oh, okay, I don't have to, hold on to this as hard as I am, and I can choose to move forward. Epic call, tons of fun, lots of engagement from the brothers in that one, and overall, these calls they're all different in their own ways, but they blend to give you the full picture of what rebooting and addictions recovery is all about. So 10 out of 10.
Sick, man. And you literally ran through the whole gamut, which is awesome. Yeah, it's so clear, man. And the reason why I'm so proud of you is because it's so obvious to me that like not only, do you care about others, but you're doing the work. Like sometimes we can get so wrapped up in like, what do I think about this? And like, just you're kind of like getting wrapped up in the feelings and stuff. And while there will be seasons like that, but one thing that I want to commend you for is when in doubt, just implement. When in doubt, just follow the system. And I think just like that little like glow in your eyes right now, I think is like literal proof of that. And like I was mentioning this to you, before we started recording, but literally getting together with guys in person, dude, what? That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. I mean, I've meeting brothers, as I said before this call started, it's truly such a happy experience for me to meet brothers. And I can't describe the feeling besides just happy. Whenever I leave I hang out with a brother in the group, I'm just genuinely filled with joy and to know that I'm meeting a brother who is dedicated to overcoming this very challenging addiction, who's serious about it and knows the name of the game. Like we talk about feelings exercises and our dialogues, like the same way we talk about sports, it's just like second nature. And it's just a joyous thing because you're never gonna find somebody else who you can connect with and they understand, on what's going on. Just surreal experiences. And it not only is it proof of other men implementing the program and following the system, but the quality of man that you meet is on another level. The positivity, the positive outlook, the positive habits, it's just unprecedented. And like that's the beauty of the reboot system is it's not just about addictions recovery, it's about building a better life for yourself. And that's the coolest part about the whole thing. It's double whammy. Two for one. Two for one.
No, it's good, man. I love it. And in fact, there's a question that I like to ask on calls like this, and I think you can handle it. And basically, so with all that you've shared, with everything that you've learned and everything that you've experienced so far, let's imagine for a moment you bump into somebody that you know and they confide in you that they're struggling. You know,
Mhm.
they're struggling with an out of control behavior, really not knowing what to do. They're kind of like living on the fence and struggling in silence in the way that you and I know about very well. Yeah, I mean, like with what you've learned and with what you've experienced so far, what would you share to a brother like that?
I would say, depending on the relationship, but generally speaking, I would say I've been there and there's help. There's real
Mhm.
help. Help that may seem impossible. It may seem unrealistic sometimes, but there is help. And the help, what I described to you, it might sound silly in the context of what you're going through, but it genuinely works. And there is help. That's what I would say. And I would open my hands to a hug if they needed, and to let them know they're okay, that you are safe, you are loved, and your addiction doesn't define you. And there are men who will confine in you with love and no judgment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. I really, really love that. So, sort of follow up question to that: would you then in turn recommend this program?
Hell yeah. Yeah, I would. 100%. That'd be the first thing I would be the first thing I do after opening up. I would, yep, right away. I would show this band the band I won. I let them know it's a thing, and there's help for you. There's really good help, a great system, a system that's proven to work, a program that's been around for a long time, and brothers who are your brothers in the struggle and will help you. So 100% I would.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for first of all everything that you do for the group and with the program and keep on implementing, man. This is just the beginning. And thank you for making the time and taking the time to chat a little bit today. Before we wrap it up, to anybody else who, might still be, listening to this or watching this, is there anything that you would want to share to, a brother who might be hearing about all of this for the first time. Because clearly, if, they're being exposed to this, then, odds are pretty high that they might have a history with compulsive behavior one way or another. And hearing your story and hearing what the program has to offer, and just listening to you speak, and maybe, like I said, maybe they're on the fence as far as what the next best move is or whatever. you know is there any final words you would want to share to maybe a brother like that?
Yeah, I would say first off, if you're on the fence of whether you think you're really struggling or not, be honest with yourself. Take an audit of your life, see what's fallen apart in some ways, and acknowledge you, you have a problem. And there is help. Go for it. It's 110% worth it. And I can promise you, only being 4 months into the program, do the work, do the very deep work, implement, and particularly dive into breaking the cycle and some of the real hard, uncomfortable work on who you are. Let that out, bring it to the coaches, bring it to the reboot heroes, bring it to the brothers, process it, make rebooting a part-time job. And I can promise you, results will come and they'll come quick. That would be my suggestion. And the second you join the program, there will be 10 brothers who will comment on your post saying hi. And they're it'll be a little overwhelming, but it's just it's so worth it.
Love it, man. Adam, everybody, and thank you once again for your time and all the continued best to you, man.